Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. It's your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B, a.k.a. the 110 Soldier. I've got so many things to get into today. It is crazy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, Corey. I'm going to have to try to just jam it all in there. Just try to squeeze it in there. That's what we do. Start off with the first thing. I'm so glad I'm right about this. We got ourselves a World Series. Yes, sir. Corey hit the video here for me already. Going to keep you busy from the jump. We got ourselves a World Series, and it's the World Series that we all needed. New York, LA Dodgers. I tried to tell you it was coming, and now it's here. Number one versus number one. MVP versus MVP. In baseball, you do not understand still just how much you needed this. You were 8th in television ratings in major professional sports. You had the 4 consecutive lowest rated World Series ever in recorded history since 1963. That's 60 plus years. You were losing to golf. You were losing to women's basketball. You were losing to horse racing. It was no time for a plucky World Series of the Guardians and the Mets, or even the Subway Series where only New York would really give a shit. You needed stars, you needed heavyweights, and that's what you got. We got Showtime, and we got the Judge. MVP versus MVP. Arguably GOAT versus GOAT, both in the World Series for the first time ever. Aaron Judge, shout out to the Judge himself, 58 home runs this year. The, of course, AL record, 62 home runs. That's all time. He was the fastest ever this year to 300 home runs. 6'7", the dude can bomb it. And on the other side, we got Shohei. Mr. One of 23,000 players ever to get to the 50-50 club, 54 home runs. You got the 2 highest paid players in Major League Baseball, the 2 unanimous MVPs, and you got other players in this series that are great. This is the Yankees and Dodgers, man. You got Soto, we got Cole, we got Stanton, we got Betts, we got Freeman, we got Yamamoto. It's the first time the Dodgers and the Yankees have matched up in 43 years. That is the last time was 1981. That takes me back to memories of, Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin, Tom Lasorda, Fernando Valenzuela. These two teams have the 2 most World Series appearances. New York, of course, has won 27 of 40. LA Dodgers have won 7 of 25. This series is going to come down to pitching, and pitching that could have been on the other side. That's a cool little storyline there, as Yamamoto and Flaherty, who are on the Dodgers and are the 2 top in their rotation right now, were almost both Yankees this year, but because of the signing, I believe, of Soto, they ended up not able to sign Yamamoto. Then Flaherty had an injury. Either way, they're Dodgers now, and pitchings will decide this series against 2 lineups that have just bats all over the place. And also thinking about the pitching thing. Does Shohei pitch? Oh, does Shohei pitch? It's probably not going to happen. I mean, honestly, coming off Tommy John's, he hasn't gone against live hitters yet. But still, I mean, if he was to pitch even 1 inning and win this World Series, this could arguably be the greatest year ever in professional sports history. I mean, the dude in the last series just hit 364, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 9 walks, just set a record, got on base 17 times against the New York Mets by New York. But he's also a Cy Young level pitcher. I don't think a lot of people realize Shohei in his career was 38-19 with a 3.01 ERA and has struck out 608 dudes in only 481 innings pitched. Could he pitch? Probably not, but god dang it, that would be cool. I can go back to the World Baseball Classic just a year or 2 ago when he struck out Trout and he came in relief. Imagine if in the last part of this World Series, in a Game 6, one of their many bullpen games where they got to, bring in like 8 different pitchers, and they run out of people, and in comes the show. That would be so sick. It is a 99.999% chance of not happening, but it would be very cool. But just in general, I'm just excited for this because this is the thing, again, baseball needed. I don't really have a favorite. I'll go with the Dodgers because I'm Team Shohei, but it's the New York Yankees, it's the World Series, and it's the 2 best teams in Major League Baseball with the 2 best players in Major League Baseball, the 2 best batting lineups in Major League Baseball, and the 2 biggest markets, East Coast, New York. This is just beautiful. Is this real life?
Is this real life?
The only thing that sucks is trying to buy a ticket. Jesus H. Christ. I was all excited. Thought I might get a ticket. $1,000 for a nosebleed section. No spank you. But still, I'm looking forward to it. And I can't wait. Starts Friday, and it's going to be a lot of fun. LA, New York, let's get it on.
Can't wait.
I'll say Dodgers just for fun. I'll throw in the Dodgers because I'm just Team Shohei, and I think he might be arguably the greatest baseball player to ever live already. And if he wins a World Series and pitches, ooh, Showtime would be for real. For real. Whole other side note. The WNBA season did come to its final end here. WNBA, after their historic year, Congratulations, WNBA, as the New York Liberty on Sunday, the first ever franchise, got their first ever title. So shout out to them for doing it. And if you could play the video here, you know, a little thank you to Caitlin might be at some point necessary. If this video doesn't say it all, look at the picture. That's 2019, the same championship team versus this year. Little different amount of attendance there in the old Barclays Center. Look at that. That was 5 years ago. They had like 1,000 people in some little, I don't know who gives a crap building. They sold out the Barclays for the WNBA Finals, and the New York Liberty able to get it done in front of an amazing crowd. Now, the series itself kind of sucked. It was exciting. It did go to the finals, into Game 5, into overtime, although really the Liberty got to win on a pretty bullshit call. Breanna Stewart not only traveled, but didn't really get fouled. And, I mean, Sabrina Ionescu was supposed to be one of the stars, was only 1 of 19. Stewie flopped to get those free throws. Matter of fact, latest video, the WNBA coach for the Liberty was even caught saying, hey, if they even come close to fouling you, flop it and sell it. So it kind of ended on a sour note, but still, you know, a little thank you to Caitlin Clark. That video, Jesus Christ, dude, it's a little bit of a difference.
What can I say except you're welcome?
I mean, that is a little bit of a difference in an attendance record there. And so the latest reports, and I do need to bring this up, though, because like I said, historic year, New York Liberty win. It was, phenomenal attendance and records and everything else. They still didn't make any money. The WNBA is actually still going to lose $40 million this year, which is unfortunate, but is what's even more unfortunate is the interesting thing that they just opted out of their CBA, and now they want a bunch more money. Let me at least give you the details here. WNBA players have opted out of their current collective bargaining agreement. They actually proposed possible work stoppage or a strike in 2025 if they do not get a new deal negotiated. They said they need a business model that reflects their true value, encompassing higher salaries, better working conditions, more health benefits. They had till November 1st to opt out of the deal, and it was set to expire 2027, and they're saying, hey, look at the higher television ratings, attendance, franchise, the union, this is time for renegotiating. We just got a new 11-year deal with television deals with Prime, Disney, and NBC for $200 million. And even Nneka Ogwumike of the Seattle Storm, WNBA president. This is not just a defining moment, not just for the WNBA, but for all of us who believe in progress. It's not just about bigger paychecks. It's about claiming our rightful share. We're not asking for a CBA. We want one that reflects our value, but we're demanding it because we've earned it. We have earned it.
Give me it, it's mine! Give me that, it's mine!
Interesting take here and an interesting end to the season. Again, not just having the WNBA finals kind of end on a sour note, but to have the historic year and then immediately opt out and start demanding more money in another year where you did not actually make any money is an interesting way to kind of build, a little more, I guess, sympathy for the league or whatever, something that they desperately need. But, I don't know what else to tell you. You're still a one-trick show, man. You got one pony in the stable, and I put this picture up before, but I'm going to do it again. Corey, hit it for me. I've talked about this before, but, the fact is, if the WNBA was a restaurant, Caitlin Clark would be the steak, Angel Reese would be the potatoes, and the rest of y'all asking for all this money and saying we've all earned it together. You're still a salad, man. I don't know what to tell you. I put this up. I updated the stats. Caitlin Clark had 20-plus games of 1 million viewers this year and averaged 1.19. Her playoffs, competing even with NFL football, still hit 2.5 million viewers. That was the second most ever in WNBA history. She was the steak. Now, when you added Angel, though, that was the meal we all love. We love our steak and potatoes together because when they played, even in the regular season, again, 1.6 to 2.3 million viewers. They had the most watched regular season game in 23 years. And when they played together in the All-Star game, hit 3.44 million, up 305%. So you got the steak, you got the potatoes, and I'm sorry to the rest of you, you're still the salad, man. all this attention, all this new things, and it took a while to even get one playoff game not named with Angel or Caitlin to get to 1 million viewers, and you finally got one, the first since 2008, but the WNBA Finals only averaged 1.25 million viewers. Y'all were bragging about 1.4 like you did something. Caitlin Clark, by herself on like the Ion Network and NBA TV, got more than 1.4 million per game over 15 times. And y'all are bragging about with having ESPN and ABC and everything behind you and all the promotion. You're acting like 1.25 million is some big, great thing to stick your chest out about. It's just not. I mean, you're still losing to the, two rookies here. What do you want me to tell you? You're doing great. I mean, you're doing better. You're doing better. But in the end, you are still, in the restaurant of the WNBA, Caitlin's the steak, Angel's the potatoes. We love steak and potatoes the most. And then the rest of you are just the salad. You can tell us that we need to eat more salad and salad's better for us. And we really should appreciate salad more. We still don't yet. So this idea that you get to suddenly come out and say, give us a bunch of money, give us everything we deserve.
Give me it, it's mine. Give me that, it's mine.
I would love to back you more because I've been rooting for the WNBA, but I thought of a way to explain it in a kind of more simplified kind of analogy here. Corey, if you can hit this next picture here for me. This, to me, is the WNBA money dilemma explained, and I tried using the best real-world example I could think of that kind of flipped the script. So this is, again, I'm using a real-world kind of example here, a real-world example that somehow kind of reverses the roles to kind of avoid confusion or get into any of the milieu of some of the things that could make you, not be able to understand. Here's the best way I can explain it to you with roles reversed, the WNBA dilemma, so you can understand it. Imagine if Oprah, for 27 of 28 years was paying Dr. Phil's contract. Matter of fact, she paid about 60 to 70% of his salary for 27 years because Dr. Phil's show could not make any money. And then finally, Dr. Phil had one guest. Catch Me Outside Girl shows up.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch Me Outside Girl shows up, and suddenly he's got ratings. People are talking about him, and his ratings soar. Now, soar is still relative for Dr. Phil. He's still not touching Oprah's ratings, and a matter of fact, he's not touching really the other television ratings, Maury, The View, Jerry, and it's still really based on pretty much one guest. I mean, there's been a couple other upticks. You can mention like, the mean camp kid or the bad teacher, but I mean, even then, most, Dr. Phil fans are actually just Oprah fans who only go there when they don't have Oprah to watch. It can really only name the Cash Me Outside Girl, and they don't really have a lot of knowledge past that, even the ones that push the most for Dr. Phil. So put that all together, and again, for Oprah to pay for 27 of his 28 years, 60 to 70% of his salary, and then he has one guest come in.
Catch me outside. How about that?
And it does pretty well. The ratings still don't touch Oprah. They still don't make any money whatsoever. How would you feel if then after all that, Dr. Phil said, you know what? Oprah needs to give me more money. I don't get what I deserve. I work just as hard as Oprah. She needs to pay up. Matter of fact, Oprah fans, you've never appreciated how hard we work, and yada, yada, yada. And matter of fact, the whole reason is because you hate bald men. That's what it is. You hate bald men, and you don't want to pay us, and we don't get what we deserve. I mean, would I, is that a better way to explain it? Like, would that not kind of break down kind of like, I'm trying to reverse to where you can get around some of the outside factors that confuse people. The fact is, again, for the 27th of 28 year, they did not make any money, even with all the ratings and all the attendance. They still somehow figured out a way to lose $40 million and were somehow kind of proud because they're like, hey, we were expected to lose 50. We didn't lose 50. Give us some more money. Give us a raise. And it was almost time to opt out of the contract and make a new deal. But this kind of idea that it's, almost due or necessary. I mean, look, if they want to maybe work out some sort of tier system based on attendance and things and have it individual. I'm going to be very curious to see how they break this contract down. But that's the best way I could explain this whole thing overall to give you kind of an understanding. Imagine if, Dr. Phil lost money again for the 27th to 28 year. Oprah has been paying his contracts. He gets one guest to show up. He gets some decent ratings, and they're good ratings, but they still don't touch Oprah or the rest of the daytime shows he's competing with. And then after all that, after one decent season says, hey, give me a lot more money, give me a lot more attention. And the whole time, by the way, bitches about Oprah fans not watching his show enough, complaining how he works just as hard as Oprah does. You all kind of think he's a little silly. You'd all think he's a little bit out of touch or delulu, as the kids like to say. And I just think, then throw into, again, he hates bald men. That's why y'all don't watch, because you hate bald men. That's why. That's why I'm not getting paid. It's a bald man thing. There's more to it. You still got to make, ratings to make money. You're in an entertainment business. I don't know what to tell you. As a matter of fact, hit this next one here for me. If the WNBA, last thing, and I want to move on to the season that's starting, but if the WNBA wants to make money, this is the interesting dilemma they're going to deal with going forward in the future, is that you're going to still have to follow the stars. Brianna Stewart, all these people, Kelsey Plum and others I've heard that, have kind of openly declared we need this, we need that. I hope y'all understand the very simple truth that you are still going to have the WNBA push all the new girls that maybe, quote, don't deserve it yet, or it isn't their time or whatever. But if they want to continue to get these ratings and boost and things that they need, they're going to have to push Angel and Caitlin year 2. They're going to have to push Paige Beckers, who's coming in next year from UConn. And then Juju Watkins is actually 2 years away. I didn't know that, but apparently she still, because of the WNBA draft situation, needs to play 2 more years in college. In your new deal, I would negotiate a younger age specifically to get Juju in a year sooner. That way we keep Angel Caitlin year 2, we bring in Paige next year, you bring in Juju right after that, and you keep this ratings and you keep this train and you keep this thing going down the station of higher attendance and everything else, because that's who you're going to have to push in order to make this thing happen. And I do not want any whining or complaining from the vets or the rest of the girls out there, because you are in an entertainment industry and it is not show fairness, it is show business, and there is nothing special about what y'all are going through in the entertainment business. The fact is, a lot of the times, the most deserving and the most talented are not always actually at the top of the bill. As I point out in the little picture there, when the wrestling boom hit in the 80s, Hulk Hogan was the reason everybody came, and that's why they made money. Hulk Hogan was not the best technical wrestler. He went to stand-up when it started going to arenas. There were stand-up comedians who had 20 years of experience who had to open up for Dane Cook. Dane Cook was not the most experienced or most talented, but he sold tickets. Actors, they always say the best actors are on Broadway. Well, if you want money, instead of just being talented, you better go join The Rock out there and star in Fast and Furious 800. Podcasters. This is something I personally, 10 years plus radio, I worked my ass off for this. And one day, some drunk girl in Tennessee said, "Hawk Tua," and she, skyrocketed past me. And there's nothing I can do about it. Matter of fact, if she said, "I want to do a Talk Tua about the Tua and the Dolphins and do an all-Miami Dolphin show with me and you," I would pay for my own ticket to be on a plane there tomorrow, because I understand in entertainment, you do what you got to do. You go where the stars are and you follow the money. WNBA, you are not special. You are not different. This is not something else that no one else has had to deal with. They're going to have to push the new of Juju, Paige, Angel, and Caitlin again. Y'all are going to have to move to the back. And if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you, but you're not special or unique in that situation. Everybody has to follow the teat. Everybody has to follow the stars.
There are no victims in this classroom.
I get very tired of this whole woe is me thing from the WNBA of oh, well, we deserve it too and we need this. So do we all. If life was fair, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Do we really have to break it down to a 5-year-old's explanation of life isn't fair sometimes? They're going to push the stars. Let's see if you guys can accept it. And with this new deal and everything going forward, I hope the WNBA is even kind of, from the presidents and the owners side being hey, we got to roll with the new, man. That's what sells tickets. That's what people want to talk about. And I don't want to hear any bitching or complaining or whining from anybody else in this league.
There are no victims in this classroom.
Still a good year, though. I had a blast watching it. So, I do want to say shout out to that. But I thought that was interesting that they decided to opt out and start a bunch of noise and do what they kind of do out there in the WNBA. But I can move on because I have more important things to talk about now, because my league is back, baby. My league is back. Hit it for me, Corey. Hit the picture. NBA is back. So excited. So excited. I'm like Jesse Spano.
I'm so excited! I'm so excited!
Oh, the NBA is back. It actually starts today. We got the Lakers versus the Wolves. We got the Knicks versus the Celtics. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. NBA season is back in effect. LeBron and Steph, trying to hold on to what they got left. But you got the new crew coming. Speaking of, the new crew taking over, you got Wemby coming for year 2. You got, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're going to be a big deal this year. Anthony Edwards. This is a whole interesting time, and a beautiful thing about the league, too, is that everybody is kind of even. I mean, the Celtics should be the favorites, but there's a lot of teams this year that could win with a lot of stars spread around. They've done a very good job with their contracts and the limits and the things that they've done. The NBA has done a good job of where, honestly, there's 10 to 15 teams that legit have a shot this year, but it's still going to be a lot of fun. NBA is back. I got to hear it one more time.
Basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. So let's get into some quick NBA discussion, and then I'll move on. I do want to talk about, just to give you an idea, an overview of the season, let's start off with some X factors. I'm going to do that. Hit my next picture here for me, Corey. We're going to get right into X factors. Thank you, D. Rest in peace. Yes, as you know, almost there. There we go. Eastern Conference X Factors, we'll start there. Kind of let you know the top 4 teams I think that have a chance in the East and what I think is important to them. I only have 4 in the East because I don't think the East is nearly as strong as the West, but when has that ever been a new thing? The Celtics, Knicks, Sixers, and Bucks are the 4 that I have. Sorry, Cleveland. Sorry, or was it Orlando? Like, there's really not. It's those 4 teams. It's most likely the Celtics, but the Sixers, Knicks, and Bucks have the best chance. Now, when I think of X Factors, the Celtics, I could say the backup for whoever is going to be in Kristaps Porzingis' position because he'll be out at the start of the year. But I continue to say, dude, your X Factor's that leprechaun. Y'all got lucky. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a Celtics hater, but I'm not a Celtics lover. You got to play nothing but injured teams. You had one of the easiest roads I've ever seen. You got to play an injured Heat. You got to play an injured Cavs. You got to play an injured Pacers. Matter of fact, in 9 of those 14 games that you won, there was at least one All-Star missing in all of those games. So you got to go through injury-depleted team to injury-depleted team. Then you get to go against a gassed Dallas in the finals. This is a different year, man. Healthy Milwaukee, healthy Philly with new additions. Same thing with the Knicks. Y'all got to prove it to me. So to me, the X factor for Boston is just the little leprechaun and your lucky charms. Y'all had a lucky, blessed road last year. Let's see if you can do it again. I do have you as the favorites, though. The Knicks made the big move, of course, not only the trade for Karl Anthony Towns that just happened, by Dante. I think they'll miss them more than they let on. But Mikal Bridges is the one I have up there because not only is he kind of an interesting thing in the preseason, I mean, he kind of is the new Markelle Fultz. Mikal Bridges might be the new Markelle Fultz of, like, he's got some weird hitch in his shot right now, and I don't know where it came from because he was shooting just fine before, so keep an eye on that. But the fact is, you traded so much to get him, 5 first-round picks, just to get him there. I've always said, if it wasn't for the Nova core, then what for? Like, why would you trade 5 first-round picks for a 19.6, 37% three-point shooter who's good but not great? I mean, when you trade 5, dude, that's Harden, Paul George, KD and AD, that's a high-level trade for a guy who then you break up the Nova thing, and I don't know. And then I've seen a broken shot. I'm worried about Mikal Bridges. He'll be a very big key piece to the Knicks. 76ers will be just more about health than anything else. I mean, Joel Embiid, very interesting takes by Joel Embiid. First of all, didn't play in the preseason because of his injuries, but now said he will never, and I repeat, never play in a back-to-back game again. He doesn't need to do it, even though he's going to get paid for it. That's interesting, not just for the fans, but for chemistry. I wouldn't like to be a player and know that my highest-paid MVP gets to sit on his ass every time we have a back-to-back. But Kelly Oubre, to me, will be somebody to watch on Philadelphia. He's a stud and is going to have to take a demotion again, most likely to the bench with the new addition of Paul George. He's been a guy who's averaged 15 points a game his last 5 seasons, actually averaged 21 year. Can he take on a Ginobili role? Bucks kind of bore me. I'm not going to lie. I love Giannis and Dame. I think Giannis might be gone if the season doesn't go well. Brook Lopez would be somebody I would say personally to keep an eye on. But the Bucks kind of put me to sleep. So that's kind of my Eastern Conference there. I will say for Brook, the 2.4 blocks, I do think he's the best three-point shooting center in the league. I still think this is Boston's conference to win. So that's just a quick preview there of the X factors of the Eastern Conference. Let's go to the Western Conference now for me. If you can hit it for me, my man Corey. We go 24-25 Western Conference X factors. A lot more here. Denver Nuggets. Let me start off with Denver. I mean, to me, always going to be an interesting thing is, does Jokic give a shit? This guy seemingly cares less and less about the NBA year after year, and winning titles and MVPs doesn't seem to bother him too much. So I don't know if he's got the goatee. I like the GOAT. He's rocking that. That looks pretty good on him. To me, your key is going to be, Michael Porter Jr., though. I think this is a guy y'all still sleep on. I don't know why he still takes 3 less shots per game on average than Jamal Murray. And now with Murray being health concerned, I think you could really push him to the forefront. 6'10", 41% from 3, 17 points per game. He was with the number 1 high school player in the country before he hurt his back. There was, a lot of injury stuff. I think he's a stud. I think I'll need to roll with him. Denver looks very good. Other than losing KCP, I think they'll be just fine. Timberwolves, y'all are interesting too. No cat, no problem, because Dante DiVincenzo is absolutely ready. I don't know what got up his ass during the preseason game going against his former team. I know it's his former team, but he's starting fights with the players. He's talking shit to the coach. He's getting into it. He seems ready to prove a point, clearly unhappy about the way he was pushed out of New York. And a good player, man. Dante has been 15.5 points a game, 40% from threes on 8.7 attempts last year. He's turned into a real shooter. But the other guy I want y'all to pay attention to is Luka Garza. Remember who told you? Luka Garza, this will be his breakout year. He's 25 years old now, 6'10", averaged 16 points in the preseason, is in great shape. He's a former great college player. That dude is ready to do damage, and if y'all don't want him, you can send him to me over here at Golden State, where I'm still a fan. Speaking of Dallas Mavericks, I'll just mention this real quick. Klay Thompson will be a big part of their whole success thing, obviously, and his mental issues.
Sounds like you have mental problems, man.
He's still, preseason, he's still kind of hesitating to shoot. He's kind of, still got a block there, but it's Klay Thompson, and he hasn't played with Luka yet. Luka didn't play in the preseason. I think he'll be just fine. Other thing I'd like to mention with Dallas Mavericks, keep an eye on Derek Lively. If he becomes a borderline all-star level center this year, remember who told you that as well. I think he, along with Gafford off their bench, are the best 1-2 center combo in the NBA. Matter of fact, you put those two together, they average 20 points, 13.8 rebounds, 3.3 blocks in 45 minutes played. They are solidified down low. They're going to have Kyrie and Luka and Klay to shoot. I think the Mavericks are actually maybe my favorite to come out of the West through the playoffs. I think they're very built for it. Sacramento Kings, your damn cowbell. I'm a Warriors fan. I remember y'all. We play you 817 times a year. Good luck to you. I guess the DeMar DeRozan thing was huge. Sabonis is in shape. I think Malik Monk, who I have up there, is going to be a bigger deal than Keon Ellis. For some reason, y'all want to celebrate Keon with Malik. You have a 26-year-old former Kentucky star, 15 points a game, 36% from threes. He had 19 points per game against the Warriors in the one playoff series he played. And other than the injuries from last year, is usually a very reliable guy. I think he's actually the one you should pay attention to. And Oklahoma City Thunder, clearly, y'all should be a favorite again this year. Y'all just don't do it for me for whatever reason. I will say Alex Caruso, though, and, getting to 10.1 points per game last year in Chicago. But the big thing was 41% from threes on 4.7 attempts per game. He has learned how to shoot along with being an all first-team, second-team defensive player. He's going to fit in like a glove. I think Alex Caruso might be the best, kind of quiet pickup in all of the NBA. So those are the main ones I wanted to get to. But the last team, the Memphis Grizzlies, are always fascinating to me. A, can John Morant keep his guns off Instagram? But B, I have 2 X factors there I want to talk about. The first one is, of course, Zach Edey, the number 9 pick, who I think is going to be Rookie of the Year this year at 7'4", 300 pounds. I think his athleticism is underrated. 2-time NCAA Player of the Year. He allows Jackson to move to the 4, which is nice. He gives John Morant more lanes to create, unselfish, rim protector, all that good stuff, and is just going to be a great addition, most likely Rookie of the Year. But I want to talk about the other guy who may not play as much, who I'm already in love with. I think he's awesome. And combining him with Zach Edey, we got the Asian sensations. If you can hit this for me. Corey, there's a guy they just signed to a two-way deal. Yuki Kawamura. Yuki Kawamura and Zach Edey, 5'8" little Yuki, and then big 7'4" Zach Edey recreated the Manute Bol photo from the 1980s, and I thought that was hilarious. But Yuki can ball. Remember the name, Yuki Kawamura. He needs a nickname because they haven't given him one yet. He just had a great preseason where he averaged about 4.2 assists in 15 minutes per game. He was a member of the Japanese national team last year. but at only 5'8", he's a tiny little feller, and he's the shortest in the NBA and just the 9th that has been 5'8" or shorter since the ABA-NBA merger in 1976. He's fun, he's little, he's got great court vision. I love that they're, leaning into the marketing ploy of having, the tallest and shortest players both on the same team, a la Manute Bol and Muggsy back in the 80s. But he's good. The kid can go. And he's got a great attitude, but man, he kind of reminds me of like a Japanese white chocolate. His no-look passes. He's got a great shot to him, too. I'm going to keep it a buck. People love the Asian underdog in the NBA. Just ask Linsanity fans, including me, how well that went when Jeremy was doing his thing. And, to be honest, I love him. I have only seen him play in a few preseason games. I love Kawamura more than I love some of my own family. So you put the Japanese Kawamura along with Zach Edey, whose father is China, and then you got the Asian connection, the Asian sensation, you got marketing, you got height, you got fun. Just keep Ja from, flashing pieces on Instagram, and I think the Grizzlies got a real good shot this year. That's kind of a big if. That's 2 in a row already, so we'll see if Ja can behave for one goddamn season. But if not, just bring in Yuki. Just bring in the new Japanese sensation. Got to give him a nickname. Got to get a nickname. Moving on to a couple teams I didn't mention because I don't think they're contenders, but I will mention them because everybody loves to talk about them, including me. I will start off with the Golden State Warriors. I've said this once, and I'll say it again. This is the only key to me and the X factor and only thing you want to watch in Golden State this year. Corey hit this video for me. Brandon Podziemski, I swear to God, you better be that dude. I've said this one before, and I'm going to say it again. You better be worth it, kid. You play the Jazz this Friday. I thought that was very interesting. Got to love NBA scheduling working out. One of their very first games this year, Golden State Warriors will be taking on the Utah Jazz, and the player that we could have had, but apparently, according to the reports, was the sticking point to not get Lauri Markkanen. Look at that 7-foot, just, salivating in weird ways over that guy. It would be so beautiful to have that dude on our team, and we didn't do it, according to all reports, because they said they wanted Brandon Podziemski, and we were like, oh no, we can't get rid of Brandon. So we're going to find out already this Friday how big of a difference, if you can watch those two and compare. Just think about what the Golden State Warriors could do if they had him on their team instead of frickin' Brandon. And it's even worse. Watch as the Warriors play. There is a log jam now at 2 guard. I will say the Warriors had a very quiet, very strong offseason. We now have Buddy Hield, Melton can play, still got Gary Payton, and Moses Moody is ready to go. 3-year, $39 million contract extension. He looks fantastic. Brandon Podziemski on this team, currently constructed, even after his plucky start as a rookie, is at best a backup point guard with decent court vision, and if he's worth so much goddamn trade bait, let's use him, because we could have had somebody like that. 9.2 and 38% for threes is not blowing my mind. I don't know why we're like Gollum with our Precious or something. We don't want to get rid of this kid. I saw a poll. He got ranked 78th in the NBA this year. What are y'all smoking? They had him over like Michael Porter Jr. I'll gladly do it tomorrow. Let's trade Brandon Wiggins for Michael Porter Jr., see how that goes. But all of this being said, the main point I'm trying to make is that Moses Moody needs to come to the front of the roster. Moses Moody is time. He's earned it. He's a 14th overall pick. He's 6'5", 215. He looked amazing in the preseason. Brandon, the only thing he did good was break his nose, because that seems to be the only thing he can do is hustle and scrap. But, we need a 7-footer, and if Brandon is so valued and coveted, I want y'all to watch that game and tell me, damn, that would have been nice to have Lauri Markkanen instead of all these little 6'8", 6'9" people. And we definitely don't need another 2 guard when we got Hield, Melton, Peyton, and Moody and everybody else. I'm losing my voice here just getting so angry about it. But it pisses me off, and I hope eventually he will be the trade piece that we use to, make the roster a little more just spread out amongst the talent. We have a lot of talent, but they're all at the same position, and I don't think they can win the title this year, which is a waste of time for Steph Curry in his last few years. Moving on to the last one here, NBA, then I'm going to move on into some NFL talk. I do want to say it's a nice day tonight because we will see history, as Bronny and LeBron will be playing together on the same team for the first time in the regular season. Father and son play together in the NBA. Never happened before. Matter of fact, Ken Griffey Jr., who was the first baseball player to play with his dad, said he will be in the attendance tonight to watch that history go down. I think that's a beautiful thing. I have never been a fan of LeBron, but I've been a fan of the story. And to me, Bronny will and still could be the biggest X factor as long as he's on the bench. You've seen a resurgence in LeBron. I compare it old dog, young puppy. Suddenly he's got this new energy. And I mean, why wouldn't that make sense? A super dad who wants to play and show off for his kid a little bit, who's clearly been bored the last few years because y'all have already crowned him GOAT undeservedly, which is a whole other conversation. But I want to say this before I get into what exactly happened in the preseason. I will repeat again, I am rooting for Bronny James. I'm not a LeBron fan, but I'm rooting for Bronny. If you can hit this video for me. I root for Bronny for a lot of reasons. Besides the empathy of just being someone else who's, tries to do what you love when you don't have to, because it's a good place for you to prove yourself and to prove your worth, even though you have family and everybody else trying to help you out and people laughing in your face as you do it. The reason I root for Bronny more than anything, and what tells me a lot about him, is that he came back from a heart attack. Just a year ago, this kid had a cardiac arrest. He literally almost died. I am not over-exaggerating. If it wasn't for his former teammate before that at USC in a weird circumstance of events, Vincent Uwuchukwu a year before had the heart attack and they were able to have the medicine people necessary. Bronny could have died right there on the court. And rather than take his NIL millions and rather than just live with daddy and play video games, apparently he's a good video game player, he said, no, you know what? I'm going to fight and come back from that and try to do something with my life and to prove myself. That gives me a lot of insight into your character. That tells me something about you. How many people do you know personally that if they already had millions in the bank and were doing something that was difficult and people were laughing at them and had a damn cardiac arrest and literally almost died, would just say, I'm going to cash in and go sit down? Bronny doesn't want to do that. Bronny still wants to go out there and work. Bronny still wants to prove himself. I got respect for that. I don't know him from a man on the moon, but I respect anybody who's willing to still strap it up and literally put their life on the line and say, I don't give a shit about any of that because this is one place. Daddy can't help me. Families can't help me. Fame can't help me. I got to earn what I got on the court. Go, Bronny. I am rooting for you this year, even though you are a Nepo baby, which is obviously, duh. He's not the first one to have dad help him get a job. You know what I mean? But got to get to the reality here. You sucked. I hated how bad Bronny sucked. And it wasn't just talent because, as I showed in that little workout video, the kid's got talent to me. The kid can play. But if you can hit this picture here for me, when I watched him suck in the preseason, and he sucked, first thing I kept saying to myself is like, Bronny, you got to find your balls, man.
This man has no
Where's the fight from the kid who, comes back from cardiac arrest when he doesn't need to prove himself? That shows me you have fight and you have heart. He doesn't show any of that on the court. He honestly acts like LeBron's kid. He acts like a little boy. If I had to watch him T-Rex arm one more time because he was afraid to hit somebody and just kind of jog in the corner and just kind of stand around and just try not to, let me fit in, let me get in where I fit in kind of attitude. Where are your balls, dude?
This man has no
Because that's dangerous. I don't know if you can teach, and that's the thing that scares me the most. I do not have a talent issue with Bronny James. I have a moxie, an energy, an attitude, that almost undeserved arrogance. Just look at the fellow rookie, Dalton Connect. You saw it right there. Dalton Connect did an amazing job of just walking in from day one and going, hey, I belong out here. You better give me the goddamn ball. Bronny doesn't have that. And he said as much. But, I mean, dude, you got to find your huevos, man.
This man has no
You got to find a pair, and I don't know if that can be taught. That attitude that you see from players, that's how you get to this level, is before anybody else knows it, you got to go ahead and already know it yourself and show them that, dude, I belong and I can kick everyone's ass if I really feel like it. I'll show you the highlights and lowlights here. So start off with this next video. He even says as much. I start off with the quote that he has a confidence issue. That he really has a confidence issue. If you can hit this one here for me, Corey. He starts off.
Grow my confidence and be more comfortable when I'm out there playing. Because I feel good, but the numbers could be better, but I just got to get my confidence up.
Numbers could be better? His first 4 preseason games were just completely embarrassing. He averaged 0.7 points, 0.3 assists. You combine those still weren't as many as his 1.7 turnovers per game. He shot 9% from the field, 0% from threes, and had a negative 13.3 plus minus. Matter of fact, one game, he had a negative 40 plus minus in only like 20 minutes of play and still had the lowest one of the 494 people who played that night. And you can see it. There's just this kind of like, And then finally, the last game, though, I threw this in because the last game at Golden State, this is the moxie I'm talking about. And that shot specifically, there was 2 seconds left on the shot clock. He had to shoot it. He couldn't think. He just had to let it go. Trust your talent. Trust what you're doing, kid. You can play. As I saw from the highlights here, this kid can go. He's 6'1", he's 200-something pounds, 40-inch vertical. He's got a very nice jump shot, good ball handle. He obviously comes from, a pretty good genetic line in his dad there. But, I mean, he's a talented player who I think has realistic expectations. Like, I could be Davion Mitchell. I could maybe be a Drew Holiday one day, very good defensively. But the main thing I saw when I watched here and why I have finally underneath is that he just played with a pair. He played like he belonged. He played like he wasn't scared of everybody. He played with some balls.
This man has no dick.
At some point, Bronny, you're going to have to channel that more, and just even on bad nights. Hell, I was like, when he was struggling, dude, fight somebody. Try to dunk on somebody. Do something. Do something other than stand there and be like, I don't want to know. I'm sorry.
This man has no dick.
Down here, find him, do it. I'm rooting for you, kid. Do your thing. Last couple. How am I doing on time here? Because I had a couple more things I wanted to mention. 5-6? Oh boy. Let me throw in this last one here. It's a hard knock life for quarterbacks. Want to say that. If you can hit this picture here for me. Hit it for me. It's a hard knock life for quarterbacks. You got A-Rod, Aaron Rodgers. He fired Saleh. Still got Devontae Adams and still lost. They're now 2-5. Down went Jaden Daniels. That was a big one out there in Washington. That rib injury is giving, as the kids say, giving very RG3. When you think of a number 2 pick who came into Washington, who lit the world on fire, great dual threat, great guy, but had injury, prone issues and stuff, it gives me a lot of that same kind of vibe, even though he was off to a great start. He's now out with a rib injury. Russell Wilson took the Fields, literally took Justin Fields' job. I thought that was a huge risk by Mike Tomlin when you consider that they were winning games. Like, one of my cardinal rules if I was a coach was, I don't care if even the backup's in. If the backup's winning, I have to let him keep playing, because if you come in and lose, now I create a controversy that I don't need. Tomlin said, F all that. Russell came in, played much better. Pittsburgh Steelers look good, but, the hard knock life for Justin Fields there. And Daniel Jones, I don't even know what to say. You're 2-5. They clearly look like they paid the wrong guy. Saquon Barkley, the guy who had to be let go because they paid you. The running back came in your house and ran down your throats. You are just embarrassing yourself. You got benched for Drew Lock, and then afterwards someone had the nerve to bitch that you got benched. It was just embarrassing from front, back, and center, and I don't really know what to tell you other than that. I do want to, let me see, I want to mention this. I want to mention it. We have to get into Deshaun Watson's unhappy ending, because this was something besides just the hard knock life that they went through. Hit it for me. Deshaun Watson and the players defending him. I thought this was very interesting. For those of y'all that missed it, Deshaun Watson, after everything that's happened, had an Achilles injury. He is now officially out for the season, and maybe, a career ender. We don't know, but he tore his Achilles, and he's out. He's out of there. So that...
Dan, it's gone.
Anyways, so he's gone, and one of the big things that happened was, because of everything that's, kind of gone down on the field, Cleveland fans booed him. His own fans booed him and kind of sarcastically cheered as he was carted off the field, and he was crying. And it was overall an embarrassing look for Cleveland and Cleveland Browns, especially the fan base. But I thought the players, Myles Garrett and Deshaun Watson, made it worse, because this is Deshaun Watson. This isn't, it's never okay to boo a player. Let me say that off the rip here. It is never okay to boo a player that gets injured. But the things that they did were so kind of overdramatic and pretty tone deaf. And some fans called him out on it eventually. I have the audio here. This was Jameis Winston goes on this impassioned speech, and then Myles Garrett. And, again, sucks. It sucks that he was, tore his Achilles, sucked that he's out for the year. It sucked that he was crying, and the fans, kind of sarcastically cheered for it. But listen to some of the comments that Jameis and Myles said. It's a rough guy to kind of act like he's man of the year.
But I am very upset with the reaction to a man that has had the world against him for the past 4 years. And he put his body and life on the line for this city every single day, regardless of your perception, regardless of what you thought should happen with him. But Deshaun was treated badly, and now he has to overcome another obstacle. So I'm going to be there for him, because I see the way he fights. I see the way that he works, and I know who he is as a person and as an NFL quarterback. Man's not perfect. He doesn't need to be. None of us are expected to be perfect. Can't judge him for what he does, off the field or on the field, because I can't throw stones from my glass house. But we need to do better.
25 sexual assault allegations. I can't not put that in as part of the reason, maybe, besides that he took all the money with the guaranteed contract and, cost a lot of draft picks that ended up not playing well. This idea, the quotes of he doesn't need to be perfect. I can't throw stones from a glass house. Y'all picked the wrong one to kind of go down that route with. And then Jameis Winston, he had the world against him. Not to mention Jameis Winston had 2 sexual assault allegations himself going back in the day. What do you want me to tell you, that he's a sympathetic figure? He's not. I mean, he never was found guilty of any of it. I have to throw that in there. But, I mean, dude, 25, legit 25 allegations. That's rare. It's a short list of people that have 25 SA allegations. I mean, on the Weinstein, Diddy, Cosby, McMahon. It's a short list, man. So it was a weird, I get why the players want to stick up for their teammate. It's their quarterback. I understand all that. But the verbiage that they used was called out by a lot of people on social media, and I think rightfully so. This idea that he's had the world against him and that he's almost a model citizen other than, a couple little things, and nobody's perfect. Yes, none of us are perfect. A lot of us don't have 25 allegations of sexual assault. Whether we were found not guilty of them or not, it's hard to get that many people to go to court and accuse you of something. I can't say that he did it. All I can say is that when the fans have that knowledge, I don't know if it's that crazy after especially all the piss poor play and what it cost him that they booed him, but they decided to make it a whole thing. And I don't know. I thought that was a weird. That's a weird to be like, oh, you hateful, crazy a-holes. Well, and it kind of lets me know too, because just to give you a scenario, let's say that quarterback was, I don't know, Joe Flacco. And let's say Joe Flacco had 25 accusations, which he was never found guilty of, and there's no proof of it. Let's say, former teams, he had 25 accusations of, I don't know, dropping an N-bomb or saying something. I don't know. I don't know if y'all would have that same oh, well, no one's perfect. I mean, we all have, I can't throw, glass, stones from a glass house. Everyone has he works really hard. I don't know if y'all would go down that route if it was other scenarios that, it's sexual assault. This kind of lets me know where y'all put, it doesn't seem to be ranked that high. 25, y'all are kind of, I don't know. I don't know about it. I get the spirit, but it was the wrong guy to go for. Last thing, and I promise I'm done. Hard knock life for quarterback Tua Tagovailoa wants to come back. Pop this last video here for him. We're going to call it a day. I want to say this to Tua and the Miami Dolphin fans and everybody else in the NFL. Tua, each their own, man. I get it. Watching these videos is tough to watch. This is now his 3rd concussion, of course, but after everybody, which I thought was the worst, quote-unquote hot take, was people saying, oh, man, he needs to retire. He needs to retire. That's a hot take. No, it's not. That's the safe thing. Tua has come back and said he's going to play hopefully this Sunday after having another concussion. And, dude, look, the doctors all say that he can do it. He said he never considered retirement, that he had a symptom-free day immediately the day after this last concussion, but that he went to the doctors and with several neurologists, and they all said that he can resume play. A matter of fact, a lot of these doctors, just so you know, were the ones that looked at him before in 2022 when he had all these other concussions. He doesn't want to wear the Guardian cap. I do think that's interesting. Hell, even the running back, is it a Kane, whatever, had to wear the Guardian cap after he came back from concussion. This dude is on his 4th, and he doesn't want to do it. And these videos are tough to watch of him stumbling and falling, and then he's one of the only ones that gets the hand thing when he gets they call it the freeze or something. That's a sign of neurological damage. But if he went and saw doctors, actual doctors, and went to a lot of them, and I think in 2024, they know how much they can get in trouble for this stuff if they let him go back and God forbid something bad happens. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to see him try to, make and do the best he can. It's rough, though, man. I got to tell you, I watch these videos again, I get reminded of Jesus, dude, you got your head banged in, man. That's not a normal reaction to being tackled. But he saw doctors, and what do I know? This whole Maybe a little bit this is a response to everyone with the whole, we do our own research, we don't listen to the doctors. That worked out well last time y'all did that. But go to I'm rooting for you, because I also understand, too, when you love something, you don't want to give it up. And, he wants to give it one more shot. Doctor said he can do it. I say give him an opportunity. And in the end, you could send him his thoughts and prayers like y'all love to do and pretend that you care on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. People love to do that. Somebody they don't know, they send thoughts and prayers, they go to sleep at night, they feel like they did a good thing. Let's see if he can do his thing. Go Dolphins, go NBA, go Shohei, now go me. I got to go.